What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Dragon Destinations. My name is Drew Heath. I'm the Director of Athletics at the Drew School. As always, with Dragon Destinations, we're here talking to alumni who are student athletes at our school and then went on to play college sports in their respective sport. Today, we have someone very esteemed, very highly touted guest of ours. Her record at Drew while she's on the soccer team was 74, 6, and 7. She is a two-time BCL and NCS champion, which were the first championships in any sport in school history. And she was a two-time all-league selection while here at Drew. And she went on to play at the University of Vermont for their soccer team. Is currently also at the Cornell Veterinary Program. Today we have Casey McIlhenny. How are you doing, Casey?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Very appreciative of you doing this. It sounds like you got a lot going on, very busy, so don't want to take up too much of your time.
Of course,
Um,
no worries.
so yeah, just kind of want to jump right into it. We all obviously know you were playing soccer at college. Were you also playing any other sports while you were at Drew School, or was it just soccer?
It was pretty much only soccer because I was also playing club soccer at the time as well. So I really just overloaded my schedule with soccer and didn't really have time for the other sports. Um, I think if track and field had been a different season other than
Mhm.
soccer, I probably would have done that. But yeah, soccer is the main thing.
No, that's definitely seems to be the trend with a lot of our players, our current
Yeah.
teams too. They're doing both in the same season, playing for their club team and playing for the Drew team. Which I
Mhm.
don't know how they're. I would be dog
Yeah.
tired, but
Yeah.
somehow you guys have figured it out. Um, and were you a varsity player all 4 years?
For at Drew, yes.
Drew,
Yeah.
yes. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. I know
I
that,
think we
that's
only
one
had
great
a
thing too.
JV
I think
team. Okay.
depending on your playing level or ability, I think Drew offers a chance for kids to come in and kind of get that experience right away.
Yeah, of course, for sure.
What was your favorite moment playing soccer at Drew?
Easily it was winning our title.
Hmm.
That was definitely the biggest moment. I just remember like running onto the field and hugging everyone. And it was just like counting down the minutes, or I think actually when we first won, which was my sophomore year, we ended in PKs. That was a big, like we were all just running onto the field, running up to everyone. And then junior year when we won the second time, that was I think we won in regular time for both BCL and NCS. So also very big deals. But that was the biggest, most exciting part. I'd also say we went on retreats during before the seasons actually started, and those were really fun just to get to know all the freshmen. Or first year, sorry. um, and just to bond with everyone and just see everyone in a different light other than just soccer and students, like to actually just make friends with everyone.
Yeah. No, I definitely think the retreats, we're trying to get more and more teams to do that for what you just mentioned. It is a great way to bond and meet new people, especially if you're new to the school.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
So you went on to play at Vermont.
Mhm.
What was the choice to go to Vermont, and were there other schools you're also considering to play college soccer at?
Yeah, so I wasn't really sure if I wanted to play college soccer, play for the school versus play just for the club teams that are at the schools.
Mhm.
So I because I didn't know, I felt like I didn't want to go through the entire recruiting process and really put all of that time and effort into it. I would have rather, I instead focused my efforts on what I wanted to get out of the school. So I wanted to go to school for pre-vet animal science. So that's how I chose my schools. And then once I got into schools, I contacted the coaches about if they needed, I play goalie, so if they need an extra goalie on their team, I sent them my highlight video. And then UVM was the only school that really had a spot for me. The other schools said, "You're a great player. We'd love to have you. Don't know if we have the space, but you can come try out with us for the first few weeks of preseason." So that was really the decision for UVM was that they had a designated spot for me. So just walked on to the team, which is a good route to go. It's risky, but it's a
Mhm.
good route to go if you're not sure if you want to play college soccer. That there's always the option to walk on, and then other people also join the team were walk-ons later in the other 4 years. So if you decide after your first year, you want to get on the team, there's definitely those opportunities as well.
Nice, nice. No, I
Yeah.
love that. What was the hardest part of the transition from high school to college in terms of soccer?
I think it was probably the intensity at which practices were held and how kind of the expectations of the intensity that you'd have to maintain throughout practice or extra team events that were happening. Our practices were normally an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I believe with Drew is usually an hour to an hour and a half. Even my club soccer in high school is only an hour and a half at most. So it's that kind of intensity and just making sure you can play that well for that long. And then there's a lot of extra things that come with that. So we have extra lifting practices, or there's extra running practices, or extra individual workouts where it's just one-on-one with the coach, or maybe it's three other people plus you with the coach.
Right.
So there's just more expectation that soccer would be part of. It's essentially a class, and like you're going to devote the same amount of time you do to classes to that sport that you're playing, if not more.
Right. Yeah. No, it definitely is almost like a part-time job, some
Yeah,
people
definitely
say.
a part-time job.
I guess two-part question. What was a typical day for you as a student athlete? I guess walk us through like a typical like a day you're at class and practice, and also kind of interested, what's a typical day for you like now at Cornell in your current program?
Okay, yeah, so I'll go with um last year's typical schedule because the first year I was there, we had afternoon practices, which was definitely nicer. But last year we were doing morning practices, so we would have practice from 7 to around 8:30 or 9 in the morning. But as a goalie, our goalie coach wanted us to get some extra practice in before we were practicing with the rest of the team. So me and the two or three other goalies who were around for that day, um, we would get there around 6:30 or 6:45, depending on when practice would start. And then so practice finishes, then you sometimes have an hour before your next class. Sometimes you have maybe 20 or 30 minutes before your next class. So you're either seeing the trainer right after practice if you need to, or rushing to your next class, or going
Mhm.
home, which depending on how your schedule is. Then you're in class all day. And then at the end of the day, about 3 or 4 times a week, there's an extra session. So that would be those like one-on-one practices, or three or four other people with the coach, those kinds of practices. And then after that, get home, shower, do homework, whatever you need
Yeah.
to do. And then now without soccer and I'm in vet school, it's it's more my classes are usually 8 in the morning to around 12 or 1. Then I stay at school usually until 4, and I catch up on what we've done that day, write notes for the next day. We have learning objectives for each lecture and each lab, so I fill those in before the lectures and labs, ideally, if I'm on top of things.
Mhm.
And then after that, I get home, relax for a few hours, and then I do some more work from usually 8 or 9 to around 11. So it's
Nice.
definitely,
It's a
yeah,
fast
I'd
day.
say, yeah, vet school. I'm probably devoting about as much time to extra studying during school as I was devoting to soccer during college. So
Yeah.
I'm already used to this kind of time commitment. Yeah.
We touched on your favorite moment at Drew playing soccer. What was your favorite soccer moment at a UVM?
We also won our conference for the first time in women's soccer history
Oh, nice.
this past season. So we won the America East Conference. That was pretty amazing, pretty exciting. We
Mhm.
had packed stands, which we don't usually have because our games are at weird times, and but we had packed stands, and it was a really tough game, and I think we scored a goal with just 9 minutes left in the game. Um, But I remember like lining up on the field as is like 10, 9, like last seconds were ticking down. We were all like basically on the field already.
Yeah.
By the time it was 5 seconds left, we were all running out. That was definitely exciting. We all went up to the stands, like we ran down and like high-fived everyone. So yeah, definitely that was probably the most exciting moment. And then we went on to play in the first round of the NCAAs, but we lost to Princeton. But it was a really very solid game.
But still,
Um,
you still got that NCAA berth, and you still got that
yeah,
conference
exactly.
championship,
Got a
which is
ring out of
cool.
it. Like,
Exactly. No, no, got some hardware to bring home. That's definitely cool.
exactly. Yeah.
Last two questions for you.
Mhm.
What advice or what would you tell someone that's looking to pick a high school, why they should pick Drew School?
Ooh, okay. Wow. There's so much. Drew is very, I think it's in the mission statement, but it's a very nurturing school, which is really, really nice. Because it's so small, you get to know your friends really well, your teachers very well. And what I also really liked was that it's I don't, you might have to edit this out. I don't know. Um, but it's like a challenge by choice kind of school. So I
Mm,
really like the sciences. So I decided to go and do more higher level sciences versus I didn't really like history as much. So I kind of, got my requirements done and
right.
everything,
I
which
love
I
that
thought
answer.
was really
No,
nice.
we
Yeah.
are we are keeping that in there. That was
Good.
that was
Okay.
awesome.
But
Um,
yeah, that was, yeah.
Heck
Mhm.
yeah. And then lastly, what advice would you have for someone that's looking to play college soccer? So, or what advice would you give yourself back a few years ago?
I would definitely say that you don't need to decide right now if you want to play a college sport. Like I walked onto the team and it all worked out for me. There were other people on the team who walked on even their sophomore and junior years. Um, Obviously, it depends on the school, but I think coaches always want to see new talent. So there's always the space to showcase your skills. And yeah, it was, uh, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
All good.
um, but yeah, it's definitely, you don't need to decide now if you want to play a college sport. You have time. You don't need to go through the whole recruiting process if you don't feel like you're really sure about it. Definitely, though, get a highlight video done, like at least one, just so you have
Mm,
something to give to those coaches if you decide later. And also that college sports are definitely manageable.
mm,
I know there's a lot of talk about if you play a sport, you can't like take a higher level or do a higher level major like um, biology or chemistry or even what I was doing, like animal science pre-vet and all of that.
mhm,
But there's definitely the ability to. You definitely have enough time. You just have to learn how to manage it well. But there's always enough time, and coaches always push for your academic excellence before your athletic excellence, which is really helpful. Really, yeah, really good.
cool. Well, no, Casey, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. You had
Of
some
course.
really cool insight and gems. Um, Everybody else, this was Dragon Destinations. We will see you guys next time.
Bye. Thank
See ya.
you.